Hello everyone, welcome back to another video today. So today, as the title says, I'll be showing you guys telling you guys how I made my rack. So this is what my rack looks like. If you don't know, it was super easy to make, and it's super cheap. It's not cheap though. Money-wise it is, but it's actually pretty durable. So to start out, the items you will need are the racks themselves. You can use one or two. I used two. There are many you can buy at Home Depot, Lowe's. I went to Home Depot and got a more durable looking one. It's like $50. I got two of them and put them together. You can just get one though. That also works. Now, something optional is if you want to use lids. That's completely up to you. I suggest just using lids on your tubs, but basically what I'm saying is if you don't want to use any lids, you're going to need goop and yucca board. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's basically pegboard without holes. You're going to need that goop, which is glue. It's called goop though. And the yucca board, or however you pronounce it. You need those so that you don't need lids, to cover up the grates in the rack so that you don't need one. I suggest just going with a lid, though. Makes it a lot easier. You don't have to think about measurements because, yeah. You will also need a saw. I suggest an electric saw. It's not actually needed, but it'll take forever without one. You'll need an electric saw to cut all of the pipes to tone them, put them down to size. Because without cutting the pipes, the rack's like 6 feet high. So, yeah. I personally suggest a circular saw, as I used a jigsaw and it didn't work out that great. So I don't really suggest that. I had problems with making slanted pipes and such. And if you don't, screws. They're optional, you do not need them. And I will go on about that later. So first, let's start immediately just how to make it. So first you get your racks, obviously you unpack them. There's going to be two, you're going to have all the shelves and the pipes, and that's it. These are actually very easy to put together. But first, depending on if you want lids or not on your tubs, if you don't, and you just want to be able to pull them out, you're going to need to take the goop and spread it on the rack and press down the yucca board. By the way, I highly suggest using 1/8 inch. And of course, you got to measure them. And yeah, I suggest getting Home Depot to cut them as they cut mine for free. Again, you have to get 1/8 inch yucca board. Gonna reiterate that because 1/6 of an inch is too heavy. Once you get that goop on, it's just for you to leave it like that for 24 hours or so. That is what I did for it to dry, and it really holds it on. It's great. So after you do that, you're going to need to cut all of the pipes. Like, there's a lot of pipes to cut. So you just got to measure them out. If you're using yucca board, factor in that yucca board, that 1/8 inch yucca board, factor in the space you want in between the tub and the yucca board, which is really easy. Again, now if you're just doing a tub with a lid, which is kind of a pain when you're like feeding 20 geckos, but if you don't have 20 geckos, it's not that much of a pain. You don't need to factor those things in, it's much easier. So once you cut all of, now I'm not giving like any sizes or measurements for this, is because there are many racks you can use. You can use cheaper ones. Each of my racks are $50, whereas there are $20 racks, and so on. Once you cut all of them, it's time to put it together, which is super easy. Also, before I get off of that, when you're cutting them, keep in mind there's a notch for the pipes that goes into the holes in the racks. So remember that that isn't going to be sticking out. So don't factor that in when you're measuring, when you're doing the measuring for, spacing for the tubs and such. Also, if you're using 2 racks like I did, there are not enough pipes for every single shelf, so you're going to need to cut 4 pipes out of the scraps, which there are many, many, many scraps. So after you cut all the pipes, you just put it together, like the manual says. It's really, you really just fit all of the pipes together. And then you have your rack. Just like that. You can also, and the reason I said screws are optional is you can screw it all together, which I suggest if you want to move it as a whole. But mine was so big that I don't think I could have carried it into my home. So, not heavy-wise, it was just massive. So I ended up not screwing it together, so I just ended up taking it apart and rebuilding it, or just putting it together, which takes 5 minutes, and I just rebuilt it in my room. Right, just after I did all the cutting and gluing, I just put it together in my room, which again took 5 minutes. So yeah, the screws are optional. I don't suggest them, as keep in mind the rack is not made for being screwed together. It's very stable without. So yes, guys, anyway, that is it. It is what I've been using for about 6 months now. It works absolutely great, and I highly suggest it, especially if you're just beginning in the hobby and you don't have a bunch of money to buy a rack. So anyway, guys, I will have a list in the description down below of all the stuff and maybe links to get them, if I can find all the stuff. So yeah, anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Also, I'll probably be doing a video on the heat tape that I put, because obviously you need heat tape and stuff. So yeah, anyway, till next video.